I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. Zoids on planet Zoidstar, red horn leads the scarred ones. Marshmallow giants in the night. Mammoth follows in the dark sky, clashing gears and shadows collide. Grieving by the cold war wars and nights. Then blue they clash, also
trust. Iron come, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire Army, pow pow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Gylos, that is the trick. Iron Kong can yet be made better. Custom built, powerful to the letter. Power salute the new Gorilla Zoid. Iron Kong Schwarz, custom full employed. With his boost, the pack Schwarz custom is fast. Able to avoid helic cannons fast. Advanced Iron Kong now matches his foes. Even Goku last Mark II feels the woe. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire Army, pow pow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Gylos, that is the trick. The parade's not stretched the road. Twice you pose now. With his boot pack, Schwarz custom is fast. Able to avoid helic cannons fast. Advanced Iron Kong now matches his foes. Even Goku last Mark II feels the woes. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire Army, pow pow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Gylos, that is the trick. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire Army, pow pow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Gylos, that is the trick. I can't feel that. With his bosom pack, Schwarz custom is fast. Able to avoid helic cannons fast. Advanced Iron Kong now matches his foes. Even Goku last Mark II feels the woes. Schwarz custom machine gun round whip and tear. Kind red and black steel, Iron Kong beware. Laser eyes of green and fists of iron light. Iron Kong Schwarz custom beams light the night. Iron Kong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire Army, pow pow. Fire missiles and rockets out quick. Victory for Gylos, that is the trick.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
I, the Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken.